What's going on, guys? So I'm on hold on my phone. It's been more than a half an hour. This is the second time this particular hospital put me on hold. What I'm doing is I'm calling around different hospitals, not only by me but by different family members' houses, and asking about antivenoms for snake bites, for venomous snakes. I'm really surprised. I'm really surprised by what I'm hearing. So I wanted to turn the camera on and talk about it a little bit, because this is new to me. It's something that I thought wasn't really an issue, and it might be an issue. So if you have snakes where you live, you might want to stay tuned. I'll be back as soon as I get to talk to someone. Hey, you listen to a song for 40 minutes. It's gonna get a little catchy. Come on. I've been waiting for over 45 minutes now. I don't know if you guys can even see that. But my camera battery's dying. So I have to, I'm going to have to explain this in another video. I'll be back. I'm sorry, this long wait has been an emotional roller coaster for me. I had to actually charge up my camera battery again because it's completely dead. I waited so long on the phone on hold. So what's the purpose of this video, right? Hopefully the title explains a little bit, but I had an encounter with a snake recently, and it got me thinking, if I got a snake bite from a venomous snake, where would I go? You know, just I guess there's an assumption that if you go to the hospital, they're going to treat it. But what I found out today is that not all hospitals are equipped to treat venomous snake bites. So that's a really good thing to know. If you happen to live somewhere in the country or anywhere in the world where there happens to be venomous snakes, and if you don't know, you can do a quick Google search to figure that out. You might want to call around and see what the closest hospital that actually has an antivenom, so you can go there and actually get help. So if you go to a hospital that's not equipped with it, they would either obviously send an ambulance to bring you to a different hospital, wasting more time, more precious time that you may need to either save limbs or your life. Or they would probably have it, driven over, or maybe in some cases even flown over as an emergency. But again, this is crucial time that's being wasted. More times than not, I think that if you get a snake bite, you are probably, hiking or adventuring or out somewhere already. So it's not like you get, like a rattlesnake bite in front of a hospital. So I think the common scenario playing out is that you're on a hike, or in my case, just in the woods, fooling around, looking for wild edibles. That was the most recent thing that I was doing, that I was thinking about snakes as well. And if I got bit, you're talking like in my specific case, if I happened to get bit by a venomous snake in that scenario, it would be about 45 minutes to the hospital. All right, now that's if I jumped right into a car and started driving. You have to imagine now I have to get out of the woods, I have to get out of this situation. Is it going to take 10, 15, 20 minutes to get into a car? Another 45 minutes to get to the hospital? This entire time the venom, activating in my body and doing what it does, right? So I wanted to make this video because I was very curious about it. I want to be more prepared for different types of specific emergencies. In this case, when I'm out and about, if I happen to get bit by a snake, I want to know where I have to be and already have that plan in my mind, instead of sitting there making phone calls or go to a hospital that can't help me. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to bring awareness to this entire situation with venomous snakes. Now in Pennsylvania, there's only 3 types of venomous snakes. After calling probably 5 or 6 different hospitals, I finally found a hospital that is roughly 40 minutes, I think 35 or 40 minutes away, that does actually stock antivenoms, okay, which you need the venom to make. Now this is something that's refrigerated. I don't know if there's like a certain lifespan for that, if they could sit in the refrigerator for 6 months or 6 years or 60 years. I really don't know. Now the other part that was really interesting to me is that when I was making these phone calls to these different hospitals, no one knew the answer to my question. You know, when you first call a hospital, you usually get a directory, all right? So you get someone who wants to direct your call to the proper place. So how I greeted myself was, hi, I do not currently have an emergency, but I do have an important question about antivenoms. And they said, oh, okay, what do you want to know? And I said, well, I'd like to know if the hospital stocks antivenom for venomous snake bites. Not one directory person knew the answer to that question. And what's interesting is that when they transfer me to ER, because that's what every single person did, said, okay, well, I'm going to send you to ER. You could talk to one of the registered nurses in the ER because they would know, right? No. Not one single nurse that picked up in the ER in any of the 5 or 6 hospitals that I called had an answer to that question. They had no idea. So one of the nurses at some point basically said, like, well, you know, we're going to treat a snake bite accordingly. So if you come in with a snake bite, the first thing you do obviously is check your vital signs and just go through the motions, you know, but she really could not answer if they had any venoms on hand if there was a venomous snake bite. So that was really interesting. I actually was able to talk to one doctor, and that was a hospital in New York, which is right over the border, which is one of the closer hospitals to a family member. So if I happen to be at a family member's house, that would be one of the closer options. Not only did they not have it, but the doctor had told me that they've had a snake bite that was from a venomous snake within the last 2 or 3 years, and they had to send that patient off to a different hospital. So they had, that doctor specifically remembered that scenario. So it's really, really interesting to me to think of all these specific things that could happen and to kind of pre-plan for it. You know, it's kind of part of the prepper's mindset, you know. A lot of you guys watching the videos happen to be preppers on some level. You may not have a bunker, you know, full with 10 years worth of, you know, rice and grain and stuff, but you might have something as simple as a first aid kit in your car. You know, you might have something a little bit more advanced like a tourniquet, right? But the question is, when you have these big traumatic events, you know, where are you going? In this very specific case of a snake bite, my assumption has always been, if I went to the hospital, they can treat me for a snake bite, any hospital, and that just is not the case. Not all hospitals are equipped with that, particularly smaller hospitals. They have a limited budget, limited experience with certain things. I know there's like specialists, like if you get a head injury, maybe go to this, you know, specific hospital that does brain surgery and so forth, you know. Now, it is pretty rare to get bit by a snake, and on top of that, bit by a venomous snake. I think what happens more times than not is people step on them. They don't even see them. So you're walking on a trail or something, or walking in the woods, stepping over a log or a rock or something, and then you just happen to step right on a snake because it's camouflaged. Its knee-jerk reaction is to attack. You get a bite. And that's probably how you're going to get bit by a snake. Some people, when they see snakes, they like to mess with them a little bit, play around. It's interesting. You want to get close and take a picture or something. Obviously, I would suggest not doing that. We all have cell phones with some kind of a zoom, so you can take a picture from a safe distance. But I think those are probably the lesser bite scenarios, where like you come across a rattlesnake and now you're interested in it and you're messing around with it and it bites you. Well, that's pretty dumb, obviously. I think more times than not when you're getting bit by a snake it's because you don't see it. So I think that's what's most common when you see these people who are snakebite victims. There's a bunch of different snakes in Pennsylvania. I don't know exactly how many. I looked it up before, but I can't remember the number. And they're predominantly non-venomous, okay? So the snake bites would hurt. It's a bite, you know. You have 2 fangs that are going into your skin. So it's not pleasant by any means, but it's rare that it would be venomous. So, like I said, just trying to be extra precautious and try to have a plan. So if God forbid me or a family member or a friend or something locally gets bitten by a snake, I think one of the more important things is, if you do get bit by a snake, to identify it. You know, if you can, kill the snake so you have it. If you physically bring in a snake when you go to the hospital and they can identify what kind of snake that is, that would be tremendously helpful. But even if you obviously are in a situation where you can't kill a snake or don't want to, whatever, fine. Immediately after the bite, whip out your phone and take a picture of it as soon as possible, so at least you can identify what you get bit by and whether it's venomous or not, because that is very, very important. Something also that I learned recently, which I did not know, I actually learned it watching Southern Survival, the BattleBox show on Netflix. which was very entertaining, by the way. If you haven't seen that before, check it out. BattleBox does have their own Netflix series called Southern Survival, and they had an episode showing the gators that they had in one of their boxes and talking about snakes and stuff. And I did not know, if you got a venomous snake bite, that you're not supposed to use a tourniquet because it concentrates that venom, makes it worse, and you are not supposed to attempt to suck it out. You see a lot of these snake bite kits, and that's what they have, these different things to try to suck out the venom. But by trying to suck out the venom, you're now concentrating again. Alright, so that's actually really bad stuff. That's pretty interesting. I did not know that. Not only seeing that, learning about that, but then having this snake experience, which I don't know, I'm probably going to post this video before I tell the story, but there is a story time video coming, and I did totally freak out because of a snake. And you guys will probably laugh at me, and it's pretty embarrassing, but that's fine. I'll tell the story anyway. And that's what got me thinking about this whole thing. Hey, if that snake bit me, because I couldn't properly identify that snake at the time, and I didn't know if it was venomous or not, and if I did get bit, what would I do? And the simple answer would have been go to the nearest hospital. But now looking into it, if I went to the nearest hospital from that location, they would not have been able to help me at all. And it would have been a waste of time. And who knows, could have lost some toes, a foot, a leg, or my life. Really have no idea. So now I'm trying to be better prepared for different scenarios like this. So anyway, that's the point of the video. If you're interested in being prepared at all, and if you have snakes where you live, find out where you have to go if you get bit by one, a venomous one. So that's all for now. Hopefully you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you tomorrow with a brand new video. Take care.